Welcome to Deep Dive Talk. Today, you and I are going down kind of a philosophical rabbit
Oh,
hole.
yeah.
Yeah, it's all about a really famous ship from, ancient Greece.
Ah, okay. I think I know where you're going with this. Are we talking Theseus?
We are indeed the legendary Ship of Theseus. So picture this. He comes back to Athens, big hero's return.
With the rescued youth.
Right,
Triumphant.
exactly. And the Athenians, they're so impressed, they decide to preserve his ship as like a monument.
Right, not just dock it somewhere, but actively keep it up. Maintain it.
Precisely. And this maintenance, this seemingly simple act, well, that's where the puzzle starts.
Because wood doesn't last forever,
Oh, yeah.
especially on a ship.
Right. Time takes its toll. The planks start to decay, rot.
Salt water, sun, the usual suspects. It's inevitable, really.
Totally. But the Athenians, they're committed. They're not just going to let this thing fall apart. So what do?
They start replacing the bad bits, I assume.
Uh-huh. Plank by plank. Old, weak wood out, new, strong timber in.
Makes sense. Standard restoration, you might say. Keep the memorial looking good.
You'd think so. But this gradual replacement, plank after plank after plank, it sparked this huge philosophical question that people have been wrestling with for, well, millennia.
Legit.
As you replace the parts, does it, like, stay the same Ship of Theseus? Or does it eventually become something entirely new?
Ah, yes. The identity problem. It's a classic head-scratcher.
Isn't it? When do the changes add up to a completely different thing? It gets fuzzy.
It really does. It pushes us to think about what sameness or identity even means when things change over time.
Absolutely. And that's our mission today. We're going to, dig into the different ways people have tried to answer this, from the ancient guys right up to more modern takes.
Sounds good. Let's unpack this paradox.
Okay, so this wasn't just some like abstract thought experiment somebody dreamed up.
No, not originally. Plutarch, the ancient historian, he talks about it. This was apparently a real ship, a 30-oared vessel that was actually preserved for centuries.
Wow, centuries.
Yeah, apparently up until the time of Demetrius Phalereus. It served as a tangible example for these philosophical debates. People can literally point to it.
That's amazing. So the very act of the Athenians fixing it up constantly kept the question alive right in front of them.
Exactly. It wasn't hypothetical, it was happening. And Plutarch mentions the debate was already raging back then.
What were the main arguments?
Well, basically one side said, yep, still the same ship, while the other side insisted, nope, all those new parts mean it's a different ship now. Two gut feelings pulling in opposite directions.
Okay, let's explore this still the same ship idea first. What's the thinking there? Why would it still be the same?
I think the main thrust is continuity. Continuity of function, of purpose, of its history. It's still the ship that Theseus sailed on.
Right.
It's kept in the same place, treated as the same memorial. The story attached to it hasn't changed, even if the wood has. It's about the role it plays.
Like, my grandfather's axe, maybe I replaced the handle, maybe even the head, but I still call it my grandfather's axe because of the history, the connection.
Precisely. The narrative, the continuous identity as that object, holds it together for many people.
Okay, makes sense. But then, the other side, why argue it's not the same ship anymore?
Well, that usually comes down to the physical stuff, the material composition.
The actual wood.
Yeah, if you replace every single original plank, eventually there's literally none of the original material left. It's a completely new collection of molecules. So physically speaking, how can it be the same thing?
So it's matter versus something else, form, function.
That's the tension. Does identity live in the atoms or in the arrangement and purpose?
Yeah.
And this is where Thomas Hobbes comes in and makes things even trickier.
Ah, Hobbes. He added that brilliant twist, didn't he? With the leftover planks.
He did indeed. In his work De Corpore, he poses this scenario. What if someone carefully collected all the original planks as they were removed from the ship being repaired?
Ah, okay, following you.
And then, once the main ship is made entirely of new planks, this person takes all those old original planks and reassembles them into a second ship.
Whoa, okay, hang on. So now you have two ships.
Exactly. You have the continuously repaired ship, maybe still sailing, fulfilling its memorial function, but made of all new wood. And you have this other ship sitting there, maybe not even seaworthy, but made of every single one of the original pieces.
Oh, man. So which one is the real Ship of Theseus?
That's the killer question Hobbes poses. It throws the ambiguity right in your face. The reassembled one has the original matter. The repaired one has the continuous history and function.
It forces you to choose what criterion you value more for identity. The stuff it's made of, or its role in story.
Precisely. Which leads us nicely into some more modern ways of thinking about this, like information philosophy.
Information philosophy, how does that help here?
Well, the idea there is that maybe the paradox isn't some deep, unresolvable mystery about metaphysics, but more about how we define things based on the information we possess.
Okay, explain that a bit more.
The point is, we can, in theory, know everything about both ships. We can track every single plank, which ones were original, which were replacements, when they were swapped.
Like a detailed logbook for the ship.
Exactly. And we can track the reassembled ship, too. We have the information to distinguish all these different states. The original ship, the repaired ship at year X, the fully repaired ship, the reassembled ship made of old planks.
So with enough information, we can see them clearly as distinct things or distinct stages. There's no inherent confusion, just different configurations of matter with different histories.
That's the argument. Our information allows us to differentiate them. In Hobbes' scenario, you simply have two numerically distinct objects. The repaired one is object A, the reassembled one is object B. They aren't the same physical entity. The information defines them separately.
It's like tracking versions of software, maybe? Version 1.0, then 2.0 with updates. But you could also potentially restore 1.0 from backup. They're related, but distinct versions based on the code information.
That's a really good analogy, actually. And maybe part of why this feels like such a puzzle is because applying this to, say, living things is way harder.
Oh, so.
Well, think about tracking every cell or atom in your body. It's constantly changing. The boundaries are fuzzy. It's practically impossible.
Right. We just accept that we're the same person despite constant cellular turnover.
Exactly. So the Ship of Theseus, being a simpler object with discrete parts, kind of crystallizes the problem in a way that's easier to grasp or maybe harder to dismiss than with living beings.
Interesting. It isolates the philosophical question. Now, what about the Stoics? They had a particular take on this, right?
They did. The Stoics generally argued that the material, the stuff, wasn't the be-all and end-all of identity. They focused more on what they called a peculiarly qualified individual.
Peculiarly qualified individual. What does that mean in terms of the ship?
It means identity resides not just in the wood, the matter, but in the organization of that matter into a functioning ship. Plus, its enduring form, function, and purpose. It's a whole package.
So, as long as it continues to be a ship, to function as that memorial, it retains its identity, its shipness, even if the planks change.
That's the core idea. They'd say the specific planks are just the underlying substance, but the identity is tied to the entity that persists through those material changes, the functional form.
They had an analogy, didn't they? Something about a person.
Yeah, like a person, say Dion, is still Dion even if he loses a limb, or even as his body's cells are constantly replaced over his lifetime. His identity persists. The same, they argued, applies to the ship. As long as the functioning form endures, it's still the Ship of Theseus.
That's quite compelling. It prioritizes the continuity of the whole system, not just the bits. What about their opponents, though? The skeptics.
Ah, the academic skeptics. They took a much harder line. For them, any change in material meant it was a numerically different thing.
So replacing even one plank creates a brand new ship.
According to their strict view, yes. A tiny change destroys the old identity and creates a new one.
That seems impractical, doesn't it?
The Stoics thought so too. They argue the skeptics were confusing generation and destruction, creating something totally new or destroying it, with gradual growth and decline, which an entity can undergo while remaining itself, identifiable by its unique qualities and function over time.
And speaking of unique qualities, there's one we haven't really stressed enough, maybe. The history itself.
Absolutely crucial.
Mm.
This isn't just any ship. It's the ship with a specific, unique past.
The one that carried Theseus.
Exactly. Only one of these entities, the continuously maintained one, has that direct, unbroken historical connection to the legendary voyage. That specific history is arguably a fundamental part of its identity that the reassembled pile of old planks or any other ship simply doesn't have.
So no matter what wood it was made of in, say, 300 BC, that vessel being preserved was uniquely the Ship of Theseus because of that original journey and the continuous act of preservation linked to it.
Right. The reassembled one might have the original atoms, but it doesn't have the continuous story of being that memorial.
It makes you think that maybe the paradox partly comes from us trying too hard to separate the form from the matter.
That's a very strong possibility. We mentally split them, label them, and then get confused when one changes while the other seems to stay the same. But in reality, form, matter, function, and history are all tangled up together.
Okay, so wrapping this up a bit. As we've sailed through this Ship of Theseus problem, we've hit these different ways of thinking about what makes something itself.
Yeah, is it the physical stuff? Is
Hmm.
it the pattern, the function? Or maybe it's unique history, it's a story.
And we can't forget Hobbes's brilliant twist that reassembled ship made of original planks. Would that be the true original even if it couldn't float? It really forces you to decide what original means.
From that information philosophy view, though, the puzzle seems less like a deep mystery and more about clear definitions. We can track and distinguish the original planks, the replacements, the repaired ship, the reassembled one. The information differentiates them.
And the Stoics remind us that identity isn't just material. It's also about the persistent form and function, like a person remaining themselves despite physical changes.
Right. The ship's peculiar qualities,
Yeah.
its functioning form as the vessel that carried the hero, could be seen as the enduring identity.
Ultimately, this whole thought experiment is so powerful because it makes us really examine what we mean by identity when things inevitably change over time. We might focus on the material or the function.
While maybe overlooking something just as crucial, like that irreplaceable history of sailing with Theseus.
So, maybe a final thought for everyone listening to mull over. In your own life, when you think about things that change, could be an old car you keep fixing, a favorite jumper, a team, even yourself. What do you feel is essential to its identity staying the same?
Is it the components,
Huh.
the purpose it serves, the story connected to it, or something else entirely? Definitely something to chew on.